So if we look at inside the NSX management piece, we go to the service composer where we can define our security. This is where you define your security group. So I can actually say, for my application tier, I'm going to define some attributes around it. So for dynamic membership, any virtual machine that has the name web in it, now this is a very basic example, is going to belong to this application tier. But I can use other attributes like the folder, any tags associated with the VM, so you can get from an operational perspective, you can get the folks used to defining that stuff up front, and then you can automatically include or exclude specific objects if required, and then that's it. It's really as simple as defining that logic, and you can repeat that again for your database tier. So instead of web this time, it's database. Any virtual machine with that name is going to be part of the database tier security group. And once you have your security groups, then you get to define the policy that's going to be attached to those security groups. And this is where some of the policy will be kind of based on native NSX functionality, like the firewall component, for example. So inside your policy, you can specify firewall rules. So in this case, we're going to say, hey, it's a Microsoft SQL database tier. So we're going to say, hey, only allow Microsoft SQL Server traffic to that database tier. So the benefit is here, operationally, any machine that comes up that it actually has the word DB in it is automatically going to start making sure that the only thing that can happen is communication onto that port. And we can obviously get more granular. We can make sure that the source of that is the application tier, and so on and so forth. And there's many ways to accomplish that within NSX. But the key to this is defining these security policies and dynamically assigning them to the groups is what allows you the kind of that built-on security context as soon as something is instantiated. And then there's the third-party services like us, which really fall into the guest introspection and the network introspection capabilities. So you can define, I actually want to do anti-malware, and I'm going to leverage Trend Micro Deep Security to do this. So any guest introspection capabilities like anti-malware integrity monitoring will be enabled. And we're one of the few vendors that provides both guest introspection and network introspection capabilities. So here you can say, I want to provide protection from an intrusion prevention perspective. So I can say, and you set up a rule to look at all incoming traffic. So any incoming traffic is going to get redirected to that virtual machine. Any outgoing traffic will also get redirected to that virtual machine, and allows us to leverage our rule set to look at that network traffic for threats. And then lastly, you need to make sure that you assign those security groups, the policies to the actual security group. So you can say for the database tier, here's my firewall policy, and here's my guest and network introspection policy, assign those, and then any member of that group in the future is going to get that security out of the box. Repeat for the application tier. And you can see that dynamically there's two virtual machines in one group and one in the other, and they've been given multiple network introspection services and guest introspection services. So now, just to show how simple it is, we'll actually provision a VM, but not actually install an operating system. Just create that container that Jeremiah mentioned and see what happens. So this is one of the major benefits of this dynamic group membership capability. So I'm just going to create another virtual machine with a named database in it. We're going to put it in our NSX, in our protected cluster on a host there. The rest of this stuff is just defaults. And then instantly you'll see in the actual summary sheet the properties of this virtual machine itself. You can see that the security group membership automatically was applied, right? So just based on an attribute of this virtual machine, dumped it into a security group that then told it that I need to start to begin to make sure that the only traffic that can go to this virtual machine is database traffic. It's on the necessary port. I'm going to redirect all my my guest introspection capabilities from my file I/O to the Trend Micro Deep Security solution, so it can do anti-malware and it can do things like integrity. And I'm going to redirect my network traffic to this virtual appliance as well in order to inspect for network threats. So any machine that then comes on, there's not even an operating system in this container yet. So we're even going to protect as the operating system itself is being installed and configured. So the protection is built in. You dynamically add it to this security group, and it's there through its entire life cycle.